Hello everyone, I welcome you on this journey where you can explore with me in this short video what content and entertainment value the Before We Leave game has to offer. The game offers some scenarios, a sandbox mode where you can set up the world and the difficulties based on your wishes. Additionally, a well-designed tutorial helps you to get started with the game. According to the background history of the game, the survivors were forced underground due to cataclysmic events. The descendants, now leaving the shelters, which serves as our new headquarters. Our goal is now to reclaim the lost knowledge of the old world and rediscover the planet. There are many basic steps on this road: increasing the population, expanding the infrastructure, and researching technologies. The discoveries on the huge technology tree are not stopping at our age, it continues even further. Just like it happened in the age of colonialism, we need to get to know our planet again. Ships are playing a big role in this, so let's explore the ocean now a bit to find a new continent. If there will be any. Oh, there should be one at least, or two or more. Oh yeah, we found something. This is an isle. Okay, and once we found a new continent or island, we can just simply colonize it. Once we established a new colony, we need to send resources from there, and let's continue with that part. Showing the colonization part of the game was important because now you can see that Before We Leave is not just a simple city builder, because you need to build cities, multiple cities on different continents. For example, I already require to build 3 cities, one on each continent. Now, when you think that this could be overwhelming, then I have a new and I have a bad news for you, that there are other planets too you need to colonize. Why? Because there are different resources on every single planet, and this is the time when you should realize that this is not just a city builder game, but it is also an supply chain builder and resource management game. Now let's repair this ruined spaceship. Later you could build spaceship just in spaceship factories, but the first one is fixed simply by finding a broken spaceship, a ruined spaceship, and that is required to repair. Once all material gathered, uh, then you could launch your first spaceship. Hooray! Let's get to the space! And now you can see that we can already see two additional planets, and there are more. It could be up to 7, and you colonizing those planets, and then most of the islands on those planets simply required if you want to progress in the game, because the new areas offering new technologies, new resources. So before I change to the city building aspect and the supply chain building or setting up the supply chain part of the game, first let's colonize this new planet. As you can see, there is a blue research which wasn't available for the uh, first planet. And now let's talk about the city building aspect of the game. The city building part of the game is the usual and same you could see in every single city building game. You have citizens. These citizens have need for food, drinks, uh, clothing, and jewelry. Uh, some of these consumables could increase their happiness, and there are other factors decreasing their happiness, like overpopulation or pollution or gloom by the industry and other buildings. Random placement of these buildings are not well, how should I say, so it is better not to place buildings randomly, because they could get penalties or bonuses based on their placement. So for example, if a field affected by pollution, then its production rate decreased significantly. And for example, a field gets 10% production bonus when placed next to a well producing water. So it is supposed to be next to a well for a production bonus. It also get additional 10% when it is next to an accommodation, so next to a house or a hut. So working on these bonuses is could be very useful, because that way your production buildings could produce much more resources. This is true for every single building, not just for the fields, but the most important thing is that you need to combo the buildings, which is required essentially. What does that mean? For example, you might need water to feed your citizens so they're not going to be thirsty, but the water is a simple consumable. It won't increase their happiness. So once you have irrigated tea field, which is a better drink, it is already happiness, then you don't need wells anymore unless the water is required for some production building. But if it is not required, then this building is totally pointless because it gives for these 5 fields only 5 times plus 10%, but that is just 50% extra production, so replacing with a field is much better. Or with a building, which like on this planet, let's go to there. Okay, here is one. As you can see here, only one house with 4 fields. You need the house anyway, because you need the workers, but these fields get the plus 10% bonus. Of course, you could say that with the well, that could be additional plus 10%, but then you need to place the houses otherwise for the other 10%, and that then your field food producing region would be bigger, and so the next building area uh, could be further away, so literally your total useful uh, area on the island could be much lower, yes. So perfectly positioning your building is very important in the game, but it is not essential as the game isn't challenging. So you could place the buildings differently as you prefer. Okay, and now let's talk about the transportation, because that is another important part of the game, because you can't produce every single resources on the same island. For example, on this island you could produce potatoes, vegetables, tea, fruit, and that is just a few types. So you can produce wheat, uh, cotton. uh, you can't have farms with sheep and cows, and there are no oil and so on. So building up a proper transportation is essential because, oh, well, let's see. Okay, this is the transportation tab. When we opening it, then you can see a complex transportation overview. Adding a new item here, for example, if I want to transport potato from island 1 to island 2, then I need to select this item. Then I will have some options how many I want to maintain on the target island. So if there are less than 20 or 40, then the ship will automatically transport further uh, potatoes to that island. Or you can also select the units to reserve, add the new number here. So if it is less than 20, then you're not going to transport any to the second island, even if the maintained target is lower than the goal. These transports are set up by you, but it run by your ships automatically. So once you set up these trade lines, you don't need to touch them. You can add as many ships as many you want to this trade line. Don't need to be only just one. As you can see, typically I transport a lot of resources from island 1 to island 2, or from island 1 to island 3. That is because well, my spaceport, you can build spaceport only on one island on each planet, and usually from other planets you get your resources to this building. And planetary transportation has another tab, just like the previous one, but here you transport the goods with spaceships from one planet to another, and the target building is always the other spaceport. We can transport not just goods, but we could transport only Peeps, citizens, but this need to be done manually. You need to get the citizens to the other island and unload them. Same with the spaceship, you can carry citizens from one planet to another. The same way you can transport resources between islands manually by loading materials into the ships and unload the materials at the other island, but you can do that only next to a port or an airport, skyport, because you could transport later in the game resources with airships, so not just with regular ships. Before We Leave is a peaceful city building game, as the store page of the game suggests. Well, it is not that peaceful because there are these kind of space wares. There are two different type of space wares. This is the big one, which is very rare and very dangerous, and there is the small one, which is easier to handle. How could you handle these space wares? Well, let's talk about the destruction they're doing. The game is so peaceful that these space wares could eat your citizens, destroy your whole islands. Once I lost 50 buildings just by one space ware attack. So calling the game is peaceful is a bit too harsh. So I'm not going to call it that way. Of course, there are methods to defend against space wares. The first is to turn them off in the difficulty settings. That is the easiest, but that is pretty lame. So here are the other options. First of all, we start the game with where is it? Oh, here is a shelter. These shelters could offer a good protection for your citizens, and they will find here they will find here a safe position during a whale attack. They can hide here. So when you have a shelter on every single island on the planet which is attacked by a space whale, then your citizens will be safe. But that's not going to save your infrastructure. So this is actually a bad option to rely only on the shelter. Of course, you need to do one to defend only on a planet only by this way for an achievement, but more effective way to have a space elevator. You could fill these space elevators with food, and if a whale planning to attack a planet, then it will consume the food collected at the top of the elevator instead, and that way your planetary will be safe. But this one works only against the small space wares. The third option and the most effective one is having an Aegis. This is a interplanetary shield, but you need to build one on every single island. These require a lot of power, So you need to build a lot of energy generator, like wind generators. So when you have only one on this single island, then this island is protected, but the oceans are not protected, other island not protected. When you have one planetary shield on every single island, then as you can see, the whole planet is protected. And this is the only way to defend against those those ugly big space wares. Of course, you will have access uh, to the shield technology only at the very end of the game, but it is worth to build and protect, especially against the big space wares, because when they attack, they not just going to be satisfied with they can be satisfied with space elevators, and they will leave. Let's find it. Oh, okay. They will leave such a poop behind them. It's so-called astrobalinium field, which is actually 7 hex huge, and one additional range gets permanently very highly polluted. So if this dropped after a space attack in the middle of your previous city center, then you can just rebuild and repair your buildings, and it is very likely that that island is ruined for good for the rest of the Waltrock. Once we built up an interplanetary empire, we have a lot of resources. We could progress to the end of the game, because this game has a the end too, which is finding a final solution for the space fares, and that is a very expensive building, a whale charmer. It is very expensive to build this building, and you need to perform 5 upgrades on the building, and once you build this upgrade, the game is finished. You could continue to play and still improve your continents, cities, and planets. The whale charmer is complete. Our observers have spotted a very large space whale coming this way. Now all you can do is wait to see what happens when it arrives. Well, that is actually the end. So let's jump to that part just to see what happens at the end of the game. The game has 3 secret achievements and one related to a big secret. When you open the technology tree, you can see that you could research every single one easily, where these are related to the purple achievement technology, which you could find easily in the game too, but there are secret technologies here, and you could play the game many times without ever knowing their existence. How could you find that secret technologies where some of the island will have such sunken ruins with these crystals, and it is possible that you will never use the submarine. The submarines allow you to discover or explore sunken ruins, but if you explore this one with the crystal, then a new island will emerge from the ocean with the yellow technology crystals. And I suggest you to save your game before doing that, because there is a secret achievement to make your ship at the position uh, where the island will emerge from the ocean. So last time the island showed up here, and if it happens again, then I will earn an achievement once this ruin is fully explored by my submarine. It will take a few seconds. Yeah, it's moving slowly, but it's moving. Come on, come on, come on. Only one quarter left. Yes, the island showing up at the same position. So I earned that achievement. And you can see, uh, you can find here ancient technology and crystal deposits. Another secret achievement is to find a frog and click on it. Well, frogs can be found on a swamp biome islands. Just look around, it is small, but once you click it, you should have an achievement. The third secret achievement in the game include space wares. You need to lose at least 20 buildings during one space whale attack. This is a quite random achievement, but you could increase your chances by some methods. First of all, build up a whale charmer on a planet, but don't finish it. Build up to level 5 so the attacks will be more common and more big uh, space where will arrive. This is the big one. You could do it with the small one too, but the destruction area done by the big one is much larger. The second step is build up every single tile on the planet where the whale chamber located. When the whale chamber built, every single space whale will attack only this planet. Don't forget to turn off the space elevator so the smaller ones will attack too. And first of all, you need to save your game, because either if the achievement unlocked, then you will might want to continue your game, because the destruction will be quite huge. And if not, then you might still want to keep going. You don't want to rebuild, just to let the time flow for the next space whale. So when the space whale coming and you saved your game, then turn off the shield with this icon. You can now see the planet is not defined, just other continents. Now disable this shield on every single continent, because it is random which continent will be attacked by the space whale, or it could just simply feed from the ocean. The arrival of the space whale will depend, or the area where it will feed from the planet depends its arrival angle, and planet rotation. So not guaranteed that you will get the achievement this way, but building up the planet where the space charmer is located is the best chance for this achievement. When I got this achievement, I lost 48 buildings on this continent. So this is, while requires some time, a relatively easy achievement. The achievement perfection of the game is quite simple. It requires time more than skills because you need to finish 4 scenarios. They are mostly relatively easy, uh, and there are some time consuming achievements. The perfection took around 104 hours for me. It is possible to do uh, faster. While I saying that perfection took me 100 hours, and you can see here one unfinished achievement. Actually, I have 2 unfinished, but they are currently bugged on the current version of the game. However, the developers already claimed that it will be fixed on the next patch. By the time you see this video, it is probably already fixed. So while it took 100 hours to me, it could be done much faster because I spent a lot of time with idling. I was AFK for some time, and well, actually, this blank achievement is a hidden achievement. It shows a bit improperly in game, but this is one of the hidden achievement. They are actually true. So the perfection could be done faster. I think 60 or 70 horse is the absolute minimum you could uh, calculate with if you expect plan to do a perfection. So this was a video about before we leave, and before you leave, I would request you to like the video, subscribe to my channel. I would request you to comment the video too, but actually this game content don't have any which only for 14s or older, so I need to mark this video as made for kids. So that is not doable, but if you wish, you could comment on any other on my other videos. So I would appreciate your comments, your likes, and your follows.